Hello, my name is Rhonda K. Kitchens. I am your Big Bend Community College William C. Bonaudi Library librarian. I'm here to help you with your research, help you find resources, help you understand them, help you evaluate them, help you understand how to use databases, a word I will say too many times. But guess what? This is the presentation that talks about those databases. I'll describe to you one of the mightiest links of all in libraries. I don't care if you're going to Harvard, Central, or any type of college across the world. Currently, the academic library standard is to have a list of databases A to Z. In some cases, that may be a 750 objects. But here, we just went up from 89 to 122. So I want to give you the skills to understand what a database is, how to do your searching now, but also how to do your research later when you go to another institution. And I also want you to know, no matter what institution you go to, please absolutely befriend your librarian, get to know them, and ask them for help when you need to do so. Or sometimes just chat about books. We kind of like to do that. So I want to talk about what is a database and the anatomy of a database, the CRAP test and its relationship to research and search, keywords truncation, phrase searching, and Boolean logic, yes, all of that, and a super hyper fast 10 databases fast overview. We have some new databases from EBSCO, and I want you to know all about them. So let's go and look at this database issue, this word that librarians say 1,000 million times. Often the faculty will say, go use the library's resources. That's a really huge thing, but mostly what they mean is, please go use one of the library's databases. Well, it may seem kind of alarming at first, but the truth is you're already using databases every single day. Every day. No big deal. I just need you to understand it's the same thing and it has kind of the same anatomy, and you'll be ready to go. That's right. If you use Netflix, Hulu, Pluto, Audible, or some podcast networks and you search for a title or you search for a keyword to find something it's about, or if you find out you want to know something, only see things by a certain author, in this case, sorry, an actor, you have a search, you have ways to find it, and on all of these, it's in different places. You know, you have to know how to use Netflix. Hulu has its own thing. Pluto is amazingly free, but amazingly confusing. Audible and podcast are pretty, they're not quite as easy to use, but they're both different as well. But they essentially are the same. It's one of those wonderful paradoxes. But here in the library world, we have Gale, Progress, EBSCO, and Ex Libris, which is our library catalog, plus a couple of databases. So what we're going to look at is what will we find if we go and hit 122 databases. What makes them the same? What makes them the same is their search or searches. Do they have an advanced search? Some of them have a publication searches. Sometimes to the right of the search, you have a drop-down box that can search for full text. It can search inside of abstracts. It can search only for publications. All sorts of options. They may have a different purpose or focus. We have business databases, science databases. We have databases that don't really have a search. You just answer questions and it puts you through them. You're going to have publications or some other objects or digital objects inside of it. In the case of the library type things, we're going to have citation suggestions. You'll be able to email and download. In most cases, you'll be able to get to the full text. But if you can't, that's one of those great times to ask your librarian to help you out. You will see that they have keywords and abstracts, suggested searches and sources, kind of like that Netflix thing. If you like this movie, you will also like this movie as well. And much like Netflix, it's sometimes very wrong, but sometimes very right. Sometimes you will have images, videos, documents, podcasts, and audio. They could be multimedia. So you'll have all these things inside of a database. And we have 122, and they have different publishers. Think of these publishers. They're just like Netflix or Hulu. They kind of do the same thing. Sometimes there's an overlap, but you have to use them differently and know how to get around them in different ways. And once you sort of understand the sameness and the difference, you'll be really set to go when you land someplace that has 750 databases for your research pleasure. But first of all, because you're going to get to the databases and you're going to have search results, how are you going to determine what you're searching for, building up your keywords, and understanding the parameters of your search, and also how to look at, I have 2,000 research results. what am I going to use? One of the numero uno things you're going to look at will be currency. And currency is contextual. And that's more than just a poetic kind of saying. It's actually me telling you that it changes. If you have a lawyer, let's say, how many years would you like to have had them read back on your case? If you have a doctor or a nurse, how long would you like to have them have read about your case? Like how many years back? Probably in the case of a lawyer, every century possible. You would like them to know every little place they can help you out with your case. But in the case of a doctor, you're like, oh, probably not necessary to read about leeches right now. Let's have the last 3 to 5 years. Usually right now it's like 3 years. So currency is going to drive you. In the most case for most of the things you work on, try to stay in the past 5 years unless you're doing historical research and you need things that are written the time that a thing occurs. You absolutely probably want something from the 1960s. But be aware when you go back that far that words do change. For instance, if you use the New York Times and go back to the 60s to do research on the Vietnam War, that may not be the phrase you find. At the time, it was a conflict. So understand that language changes too as you go backwards, and that will help you with your keywords. Relevancy. This is driven by your problem and thesis statement. Suppose you're working on a polar bear, starvation, nutrition, global warming, Antarctica, Greenland, some other places. Those are your keywords, and in many cases you can use those all in one search so that you get specifically relevant things. So this is not only just a way of looking at your search results, it's actually a way of building your search. I will be looking for polar bear, I will be looking for nutrition, and I will be looking for global warming. I might leave out the geography or add it back in as necessary, because in some cases, less is more. Accuracy. You want to be able to make sure that you're working with the most accurate type resources available. Now, this is why primarily your professor or instructor will tell you to go use library resources, which are huge, awesome things. But what they're trying to tell you is use library databases. One of these reasons, because this is going to help you a lot with the accuracy up front, because these are usually from standard, reputable journals, organizations, and they're collected into these databases for you to find. Also, if you're going to go to transfer, you absolutely want to have these skills under your belt, and you want to know how to find a scholarly article. You want to be able to understand what a systematic review is versus a literature review. These are key things that you'll be able to take with you when you're working with databases and information found inside of them. Another issue is authority. You want to make sure you're using the right person or persons or organization. Authority lets you know who they're attached to. When you look at a scholarly article, in fact, you could write them or probably even give them a phone call. You know their ethics statement, you know the people they worked with, you know the things they read, putting it together. So this helps you develop a concept of their authority. Purpose. Now, why was this written? Was this written to change your mind? Was it a piece of propaganda? Is it a piece of research that somebody else needs to build on? Is this a piece of research that is put together to change? Is this a case study that someone didn't have time or the money to put into doing a huge big research? They just want you to know, hey, this is an anomaly. I can't even say it. I hope you're saying it for me. And we're going to look at it. It's probably only 5 pages long, but if you're doing a systematic or further research, you might pick this up, look at it, and see what it really means. These are sometimes the case studies are overlooked, but sometimes the case studies can save lives. I have a story like that. My mom was actually saved by a case study, despite the fact that it's not considered the largest piece of evidence. So you never know what you'll find in research and what you'll do with it. Now, inside information If you look at the rubric and the assignment, but specifically the rubric, you're going to know how your professor is grading. So if they ask for a scholarly article or they ask for 5 resources from library databases and things of that nature, make sure you absolutely do that. And if you have any questions about those terms, I would be glad to talk to you about it. Now, this is all the search tricks. Okay, they may not be all, but I'm telling you what, these are the biggest ones. So truncation. So sometimes you have a word like theology. I was working on pretty recently. Theology, theologian, theologizing. You see what I mean? All these different prefixes. If you back that up to theolog at the G and put an asterisk, you can search all those terms in one search. So you don't have to do it 5 times, and that you're really comprehensive. So it's going to save you time and help you find some amazing resources. So you'll see here I set up as an example nurse, nursing, nurse, nurses, traumatic, just trauma with an asterisk can get you traumatic, traumatizing, and of course, trauma itself. Very efficient and intelligent use of your keywords. Now, phrase searching helps you cut down on that noise. So you don't want an article that has global in the first paragraph and warming in the second. You want them together. So for those items, put them inside of quotation marks. And it's going to clean up your search so you can find things that are more specifically about what you're looking for. Now, Boolean searching, if I use these little Zen, I call them Zen diagrams sometimes, but they're actually Venn diagrams. When you use and, suppose we had global and warming, this is going to find those things where they overlap. If we had global warming, it's going to find all the global and all the warming in one place. They don't have to be together. They're just going to kind of put the whole search in one place. Now, you would use this if you have a search term that is like a synonym. Sometimes at this point, advertising, marketing, branding, some other things are kind of lumped together. So if you want to put in a phrase all those things at one time, put marketing or advertising or branding. Now, you do a search and it has things in here like, I don't know why this is in here. For instance, I have often done, I'm from Florida, a search on Florida plants. Do you know what comes up? Nuclear plants. So in my search, I go Florida plants, not nuclear. Okay. I could also do Florida plants and right up here and botany. That would also clean it up, or and gardening. So you can use these to fix a search that has gone bad. And usually with a good database, you could just do it at the top of the screen and it's not a really big deal. So I want to talk to you about these databases, but really, really fast. We're here now at the 13-minute point, but I really want you to know about these pieces. We have some new databases from EBSCO. They're in the news section of Databases A to Z, and I'm going to show a few to you. I'm going to tell you this part is going to go really fast, but I kind of want you to understand how all these things look. You absolutely have a resource and opportunity to come back to you and come back to me. And also, we do individual pieces on these, so I would take advantage of those as well as you need them. So, 2 of our broadest ones is Academic, Search Premier, ProQuest, and NewsBank. When I say broad, these are probably great databases to start with, especially if you're not working with something that's extremely specialized. But we also have some wonderful specialized databases. Business Insight Global, College Success Skills. I'm not going to go into it. I just want you to know that it's there and you can build your skills in your own time. Culturegrams is unlike any other thing we have. It pretty much makes you point at things on a map until you get to your question. It's sort of a deconstructed inside-out database. eBooks is wonderful. You can look at it full text. There's so many things you can do. I want you to know all about it. Global Issues in Context is going to give you things like the environment, the polar bear, Greenland, and the whole deal. And it's pre-prepared, a curated database. Like, it's not everything in the world, but people have put together These are the best pieces on this item. And it also gives you, if you have no idea what to write about, at least like 400 different ideas of things to write about. In addition, it has a package of research ready to go for your success. I kind of moved Newsbank up too broad, but it's a newspaper database. I kind of just want you to know there's a different way to search it. And you can also make sure, like when you're trying to look and do some research on an item that needs a regional point of view, a newsbank, a newspaper database is a great way to do that. It's not global. It's very local, actually, with some global issues included. Statistical abstracts of the United States. I want you to know about this because it has statistics. And sometimes you need primary and secondary resources. Primary would be things like raw data, interviews, history as it occurs in that real time, versus somebody else writing about it. It would be things, primary would be research. Secondary would be me writing about the 5 different research projects done on polar bears, for instance. I didn't originate any of the information. I read and synthesized it. So statistical abstracts, raw data. You determine what it means, and that's part, and these are really great for communications classes. U.S. history and context, not going into it, I just want you to know where it's at. So, okay, I hope you're ready to go, because now we're going to the library. Okay, the way into the library is as follows. Go to bigbend.edu, go to academics, go to library. Here it is. You might want to bookmark it. I actually have it like saved on the home page of my iPhone too, so a lot of these things that we're looking at are very mobile friendly. What we're going to be looking at today is databases A to Z. So one of the first things I wanted you to see is we have all these new databases. Here they are to the side. Yes, this just happened. It's new. I'll probably have them here 6 months, and then they'll go here alphabetically. They're already here under the subject section. So suppose you came here and like, I am working on a topic in the environment. You would click this, and you would have some of the best selections and some other things that would help you. So when your professor or instructors told you to go use library resources, they were actually talking about databases. And if you know your topic subject, you can come here and already have an idea of the 5 or 10 different things that you could use for this topic. I'm going to clear the filter and go back out. I want to show you a very broad database while showing you sort of a trick. Academic Search Premier is an EBSCO database, and this is a screen that appears off campus. You're going to put in your Big Ben username without the @bigbend.edu and your Big Ben password and log in. Now this will sign you out sort of like every 15 minutes, so if you reach a weird place that you can't sign into, go all the way back into Databases A to Z and the main web page so you can like log in one more time. Since we're doing environment, so I start typing, you'll see that it appears. And this is just a really vague search, not very consequential. You see you do have some options here, and I do want you to know they're available. Wow, I didn't mean to do that to you. Here we go. Sorry. And here I am. And hopefully I hit the right button now. You'll see that we have a ridiculous amount of search results. But this is here where you start worrying about things like currency. You want the past 5 years. Let's do that. Does your professor want you to have scholarly or peer reviewed? Then you would select this. You can also select full text to make sure what you see is what you get. And then when you click on the item, you should see HTML full text or PDF. The PDF is actual images from the publication. In this case, the publication is BMC, Public Health, and it kind of highlights the things that you looked at. When you click on the title, it takes you in to the article, and you could go down and read it and see the abstract. The abstract is not the entire article. If you use this article, you need to use the whole thing and go over here and read through these. If you would like to cite it, come over here. It has a citation. You can cite here, I think mostly we use APA, which is here, and MLA, which is down much further. The rule here is to copy and correct. Do not copy and paste. If you have questions, use the Writing Center online or ask your librarian. We'd be glad to help you out. You can also send this to Google Drive, print, email, save it, listen to it, and yes, translate it into another language if you should choose to do so. So I'm going to go back to the search results, and I'm going to go down a little bit further to kind of show you the types of things. We have video results available. On the left-hand side, you can see other terms. You could harvest keywords to do your research. We have subjects. You could narrow it down to these different pieces. There's quite a few. You can also narrow it down to publication, publisher, company, language, geography. And while you're here, you can go ahead and clean up your search. Like, this is too many. I want polar bears. And I'm not sure about nutrition, but let's give it a try. I'm probably spending more time with this than any of the other ones, by the way, because this is a great place to start. In this case, I demonstrated going too far. First of all, I see in polar bear, it's often singular. I can also do an asterisk so it gets all of them. Nutrition may not be the right word. We're also worried about starvation. As you type that, you'll see there's different, how do you say, suffixes. If you put an asterisk, you'll be able to catch them all. So you can see I'm in my search, and I'm using my search to correct my search. I'm also using my search to meet the needs of my study topic and also my rubric situation in terms of, do I need scholarly articles? Do I need things for the past 5 years? Or what other things I need to do? Now we have 3 articles, and I might find that there's other terms to try, starvation or starving, physiology, weight loss, and I may find other words for it. I may also find that environment is the wrong word, and I may want to put in something more topical and specific about the environment. And here, when I hit search, I'm not going to get a very improved result. So let me get, it's only 1, so I'm going to go broader. And I'm going to leave this in here because I want you to know too much, too many words often end up getting you not all the search results you want. So I'm going to do polar bear, and I'm going to do starvation, and I'm going to see at least 4 things. Now, what I might determine from this is this may not be the best database. Maybe I need to go to a science database or a more specifically an environmental database. Guess what? When you're using EBSCO, you don't have to go back to the big list. You could just come here and choose databases. Here, I can add ebooks. I can go down and add general, I'm trying to find her. Sorry about that. General science, I'm not seeing it. Oh, here it is down here. It is not alphabetical. And I may want, do I have an environment? Do I have a biomedical reference, topic search? So I'm going to add these. So instead of going back, I have built myself a super database situation that I can now use for my search. And this is going to bring me ebooks. I'm going to have 18, but if I need 5, this may be quite awesome. So I see from all these different places, I have periodicals, academic journals, and I have ebooks. So by doing this, I've really built myself the database I need all in one place that I can do my research. So we have things from Academic Search Premier, Regional Business News, ebook collection, and topic search, and the ebook piece. And when you're using EBSCO, if you need help from the librarian, that's me or one of my library staff member co-workers who'll be glad to help you. It doesn't look as good as I want it to, but it is a work in progress. So I hope you understand Databases A to Z, and now we're going to kind of go really, really fast. Another one that's really broad and a great place to start will be ProQuest. We have a couple of versions of this, and oftentimes a instructor or professor will ask you to use ProQuest or give that as a suggestion. There's like 4 other things you could use as well, like Academic Search Academic Search Premier, and we can also this has it's pretty easy to use. It sets you up for a lot of success, but you're still going to have to tell it what to do. You're going to have to tell it you want full text, and if you want peer-reviewed, select that. If you want newspapers, dissertations, books, or all that other, you need to let it know. When you click on the title, much like almost every database we have, you'll look for the little quotation symbols, which is a citation. Remember to copy and correct, and this one will give you related items. So if this article works for you, these articles may also be useful. So in a way, when you do your search, you're also providing yourself with alternatives. The abstract sometimes, and I don't see it here, will give you keywords that you can use to keep doing your research. You can also save it, email, and do all the other things to it. Now we're going to be moving a little rapidly now, and I want to go into a section for business. Actually, I'm going to go into a business type database. We'll see here just by putting in business. I have a business collection, economics and theory collection, insights, regional news, and business source elite. These are all excellent databases, and you might get a lot of using each of them for a business related topic. But I'm going to show you this one because it's a little unusual and unlike anything I've demonstrated. When you come into this, this is actually going to help you find, and if you ever see this, go to advanced and proceed. And it is safe. It's just because you had to be forwarded someplace. This is not going to have articles. It's going to have company information. You're going to look for the companies. It has SWOT reports. Strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. This tells you things about the key figures and other ratios that are important when making business decisions. It has financial reports. It has industries. You can look at market share reports, industry essays, comparison charts, case studies of actual companies. You'll be able to use the name or the ticker symbol here. So this is a very unique, very special business intelligence database, which is kind of very much unlike the others. Now we're going to go into one that is about the environment specifically, and it's called Global Issues and Contexts. It's actually about global issues, which does include environment. I hope that's okay with you guys. So here we are. Now this, as you can see, is wildly colorful. It's wonderful to look at. And you know what this database does? Let's go all the way down. If you can't find something to write about, you have 665 issues that it has put together. So you can see here the things that have been most currently updated. So let's look at digital currencies. If you're writing on this topic, immediately you'll have a section, I call this the Smart Person's Wikipedia, that gives you an overview, a sort of reference and detail about the history, the law and legislation about the topic. It has a featured content, which is sometimes opinion articles are written by persons that are well regarded. Viewpoints, academic journals, reference, again, that's the Smart Person's Wikipedia because that's editors, videos, images, and the whole thing. So if you're writing on this topic, or you're really very much ready to go, you can add in different words, but this may also, in looking at the articles, help you narrow down what you are working on, because writing about Bitcoin is huge, but writing about Facebook and Zuckerberg's new idea, Libra, as money, that might be much smaller and something you can manage, explain, and break down for your research. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm at 30 minutes. I don't know if you're still here with me, but I really hope you are. Again, my name is Rhonda Kitchens. I'm your librarian. So from here, I want to show you another different type of database. I'm going to go into biography and context. It's much like the other. Sometimes when you're doing research, you also need to find out about the people that were involved in it, or you're researching a person. And this is a fantastic database. Look, it has a lot of people, and it's updated constantly. And if you're writing about someone who's died recently, it should be updated the same day because you have people working on it all the time. Suppose you're working on somebody who is a specialist in polar bears, and you might need to see what they're thinking about, what they've said, what they've done. And this person has written about a polar bear tattoo, which is interesting. These are children's books, but it may be as part of your research, you could bring these in or some quote from them. Also, you'll see some people who might have worked with polar bears and be able to look into their work. You'll also see different references that will mention people so that you can bring in a people aspect to your research, or if you're researching people, it's already there to kind of give you that background. I'm going to take you into our stats database. It's called Statistical Abstracts of the United States. You'll be able, again, it's specific to the United States. Sometimes if you see something that's dated, it gives you enough information that you will know how to find updated information, because it'll let you know if it's a government report or some other type of report. It has sections that you can go and look at: business, elections, law enforcement, or courts. Or you can also look for something like this. Suppose you want to know how many televisions are owned in America, or theoretically owned in America. And here you'll find different things about broadcasting, media, audiences, information, estimated revenue and expensive, average hours spent watching TV by married mothers and fathers based on employment. It can be quite specific. So when you're doing a presentation, or particularly a speech, when you're trying to define something or make a strong point, these tables will give you the type of information you need without the dressing or summation, just the numbers where you'll be able to make your point, and they'll look much like this. We also have things for your success. College success skills is prep step. Anytime you see prep step, we also have core, science, and math. These are places that you can go in. You'll have to create your own sign-in, but you'll be able to practice skills, language, writing, math, preparation, things about using your time wisely, all by yourself. So you can use actually part of this to help you along to meet your own success needs. So they're not necessarily about the articles and videos and all that type of thing. It's about you and about growing you as a student. And as you suspect, we're going someplace that even looks different. I have the New York Times here under New York Times, just so you can find that rapidly. But Newsbank covers some of those, and advanced means proceed. And these go away after you accept the certificate a few times. So Newsbank does give you some suggested topics so that you're able to go in and have a prepared package of research to look at. It also has a USA locator map. Maybe you want to compare what people think about fracking in Virginia versus Washington State, and you could kind of get some idea of what's going on in the ground, and also find opinion letters that are written to newspapers. You can look in at the Seattle Times and of course Washington in general, and just do a local research on what we are as a state doing or feeling or working on in regard to different types of topics. It's going to be very different. Even right now, if we look at a quarantine issue in Washington, say, versus Florida, there's going to be very different responses, different players, and different ways of looking at it. One of the things I'd like to offer to you when you're here, and newspapers, sometimes they're written with the top part of it being more rich in information. This is a full text database, so when you put in a word, you can get like thousands and thousands of different types of responses. But here, if you search only the lead paragraph, because you can search all text, just see how much information you get back. If I put here, we'll put COVID, and it's probably really hot right now, as you know, I can search just the lead paragraph so that I know that that is the main topic. You can also search the title. And again, if you're thinking about your teacher's rubric or the need for currency, you can search it from certain dates, like just today or just last week. So when you have a current, fast-moving topic, or if you, in this case, you want to get, were we talking about this before in 2009? You can make it the past year, or you can be more definite and type in from the date for a week so that you can look at these different things. So once you start your search, you can still fix your search. You can add to it and take away. Sometimes less words is more. Sometimes your search itself will give you the keywords and the concepts you need to narrow down your search. Sometimes if your search is bad, it's not you. You're in the wrong database, and we have 120 of them. If you have a problem looking for one going through the subjects, ask your librarian. We'd be glad to talk to you about it. I know this was really rapid, and it was also 35 minutes, but I really hope this helped you, give you an overview of some of the concepts about doing research, what to look for, how to evaluate it, how to do some fancy searches, what you do if something goes wrong. I want you to know all of these things. And if something fails you, please reach out to me. I'm Rhonda Kitchens, and I'm your librarian, Rhonda K at bigbend.edu. Thank you.